So I want to quickly react to the news that South Korea has elected a new president. I'm currently here in Korea. I'm a dual citizen, so I voted also. You guys know from the past, I also voted for Trump and in the American elections. And now we are here full circle in some sense. And by that, I mean not only for me, but also because I believe we are in a season where we are repeating some of the same things that America has gone through during the 2020 election now here in Korea, because we had, in some sense, the previous president, President Yoon, fighting against the deep state and just all these different things, but it just kind of went wrong in some sense. And now we are here with everything as a fallout from the impeachment, the martial law, and just all of the fallout. And now we have this new president, Lee Jae-myung, who was the liberal candidate, won over Kim Moon-soo, who is basically the Republican or the conservative candidate equivalent here in Korea. And then we had a third candidate who, in some sense, leaning right, had helped President Yoon and prior folks before this, Lee Jun-suk, and he took a 8% here. But basically, this was projected, and this was the outcome. Now, I believe the White House previously, in the immediate aftermath, had no comment, but now, because of the silence, especially from what was the contrast to what the reaction was to Poland, where Trump, on very much the same day, where Trump's ally, who was a conservative candidate, won in Poland, and Trump had not reacted in the same vein, obviously because of the liberal candidate, as the Poland election. In fact, there was no truth in all of the last few days. This is now Friday of where he said anything about it directly on Truth Social. So now, unfortunately, the whole of Korea, in some sense, has voted to have this liberal candidate. Now, I know people are wondering about the election fraud stuff. I believe there is a little bits of that in some sense, but here in Korea, I believe that it would take a lot to try to cover some of that up. And so in some sense, it was a free and fair election in a sense. Who knows? There might be a deeper conspiracy, but I'm not sure. But at the same time, what we know is that a lot of people, especially as they're polled and as they're being asked, they are leaning, I don't want to say the majority, but a lot of people are leaning into the liberal side. And so I believe that we are at a phase similar to what 2020 was, but without the idea that there is a full-blown movie being played out here in Korea, but that God in his sovereignty is using this wake up period, just like how Biden and everybody understood. Those that were asleep, those that are not in audience 3, they understood through living those 4 years that it's going to be a very tough time, and they woke out of it, and they understood that, okay, we don't want this anti-God society here on in our country, speaking for America. But now here, I believe for the next 5 years, which is where the length of this election is, or this next season is, they have to live through, the Korean people have to live through, in some sense, this kind of time. But also, God is sovereign. He's going to protect the chosen, the anointed, the elected, the set apart, and he's going to use this time to make healing and to bring, I believe, a greater revival here in this nation. And so I don't have too much to say with regards to deeper conspiracy and other things like that, but I know that people are wondering, is it okay here? What's going to happen? I believe that there's going to be a bigger East Asia and sort of this whole, even with North Korea, China thing that's going to, in a big political sort of way, come to the forefront, whatever that is, the secrets, and as well the diplomacy aspect with Trump now in the picture, with dealing with this whole Korea Peninsula stuff, and also the China stuff, the Taiwan stuff. But I believe that there's going to be a period where there's going to be weeping and wailing, in some sense gnashing of teeth, but also that we have to get right with him. So from a spiritual perspective, it's kind of disappointing in a sense, or not, rather not a spiritual. In the spiritual sense, it's great. God is sovereign over everything. We trust him. But in the physical sort of manifestation, it is a little bit disappointing. But at the same time, because we have many people praying and desiring for there to be change and revival, it takes time. Similar to how it took time in America, it's going to take time here. So just some quick 2 cents as I even digest this and see how the Lord is taking me, especially being here on mission in Korea in this next season of my life. You guys know I've just been advocating for this, but if you guys want to help me out financially or with prayer, please, link is down below, the Give, Send, Go, as well as other methods I have below. But more to come, guys. Just a quick reaction video initially to what has happened. But love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.